It was always debated. It really was. I mean, for a long period of time, and it's still debatable, is it not? Whether or not baseball is successful here in South Florida. Would you say? I mean, the only people so far that I think it's been really successful for were Laurie and Sampson.
Yes.
Who cashed in billions. Everybody else has left here kicking and screaming, have they not? The son-in-law and Pops, who, have went from buying Dayglow Jesus paintings to all of a sudden he's in the bidding at South Beach for a Van Gogh.
Exactly.
It's an original there, Jeff. Okay.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you. Getting a little bit of a late start here on the East Coast, but good to be with you nonetheless on this fine Wednesday and a Wednesday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest. And you're one of the few guys looks really good in that shirt, Mike Lewis. You really do. And the players aren't looking so hot in that shirt right now. After another loss last night, 5 in a row, coming out of the All-Star break for the Miami Marlins, who were writing a little bit of a South Florida Cinderella story there for a while. Most people were being cautious about it. I don't even know if it was cautiously optimistic. It was more like cautiously pessimistic, thinking that eventually the roof has to cave in. The retractable dome was eventually just going to cave like a lot of stuff does here in South Florida after years of ignorance in terms of, construction flaws and things like that. What materials did they use on this in 1957, Joe? I don't know. Right? I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff goes on here. But the collapse, I don't know. I mean, let's hope it doesn't perpetuate itself. But 5 games in a row. I didn't really want to start there, though, because you'll find it surprisingly because I don't like to venture too far away from the home anymore, especially driving. And I was driving in the Fort Pierce area yesterday, Lubie, and I happened to accidentally take a swerve and end up by the courthouse there. And who's sitting in the car in the parking space next to me but Jack Smith, the special prosecutor that is working on all of this Trump stuff, including the January 6th case, which indictments are about to fall. And I'm sitting next to him, and I'm kind of just like dawdling in my car trying to, get my GPS device to relocate me into the right direction. And Smith rolls down the window, and I hear him singing, "Take a letter, Maria." Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Yeah, like a horn section in the back, man. Giving that chorus there. Address it to 45. Ba-da-da-da-da. Tell him he's going to be going away for the rest of his life. It was a variation on a theme of the great song by my good friend R.B. Greaves, who I used to hang with many years ago, about 45 years ago in California, who it was somewhat of a one-hit wonder, wasn't he, R.B. Greaves? I know you're not familiar with this name. But if you look it up, he had the one big hit, "Take a Letter, Maria," which I don't know if it ever rose all the way to number 1 on the pop charts. But it was one of those songs that was in your head for a long period of time. It's still in mine. Everybody that's, over 100 years old like you are, Defo, probably has immediately started thinking, yeah, I remember that. "Take a letter, Maria. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Address it to my wife. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Tell her I won't be coming home." And think about the concept here, Louie. I mean, you're in your office, you're running a business. You decide, hey, with wife number 1, I don't want to do this anymore. You dictate a letter to your secretary and say, hey, tell her I won't be coming home. Gonna start a new life. I bring this up for a reason because I want to clear, my thoughts on this just right away. And I don't want to dwell on it because it's so ugly. But Chris Christie, as fat as he is, seems to be the only guy with enough balls. I guess what? There's one of the governors that's running for the Republican nomination that is also out there saying, hey, listen, if the guy didn't do anything, there wouldn't be any of this going on. Right? I mean, the only thing in the latter stages of his presidency that Trump was effective in leading was the insurrection.
Yes.
Which he clearly was responsible for. If he wasn't responsible for it, who was? And the greatest piece of evidence there, I don't know if it's something that Jack Smith would be able to allude to in court, it was that the minute that the guy sent out a tweet for God's sake, while these people are rioting, they're looking at their cell phones, waiting for the word from their leader there, Donnie Trump. And the minute he said, "Hey, listen, man, this ain't working. We got to split," they all left.
Yes.
While he sat there for a couple of hours, and instead of delivering that message or being horrified by what was happening, thinking, "Well, geez, you know what? I didn't think it was going to escalate to this level, where cops were being killed and people were being hurt. I mean, people died in this thing."
Yes.
And every time I see some Republican candidate like that mealy mouth Ron DeSantis, Mister Tough Guy, we don't want you reading Dick, Jane, and Sally.
Yeah.
And then they say, "Well, you know what? Should this be going on with that?" Oh, no, no, no. You know what? I mean, it's a joke. The weaponization of the Department of Justice. If the election was such a fraud, how did he win by 20 points? That would reflect more of an example of an election being a fraud to me, except that, the Democrats threw in Charlie Crist. I mean, you talk about a has-been. They could have run a sea turtle against this guy, and he would have got as many votes. Just pull like one of them giant turtles out of the ocean. But how these guys are running against Donald Trump for the nomination, and they could just sit there and this McCarthy, my God, could you be any weaker? I mean, do you really want this is the leadership that you people want?
Yes.
I have these. I don't argue with my Republican friends anymore because they come with all of this bullshit, and I guess they assume that what I'm saying is complete bullshit also.
What
But
you're saying is fact. What they're saying is bullshit.
it's insane. But how anybody that was running for the president of the United States that I was even going to consider for 1 second, let's say I was totally neutral on this thing going into the election and thought to myself, "Oh, gee, I might consider the Republican candidate." How could you vote for anybody that sits there and condones this bullshit of Donald Trump?
That because
And didn't say, "Hey, listen, you know what? The guy's policies may be exactly what you think America should head in that direction, and this is what we should be doing, but this is not the guy that we want running the show." Because he's proven that he doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. Go ahead, Lubie.
But that's the problem is then they don't have a candidate because no one has come to the forefront. That is, and it's not Chris Christie. Chris Christie's not.
No, he's got like 1% of the Republican vote.
That's the thing. Like they don't at this point. I think outside of the really hardcore Trumpers, most people that have ever identified as Republican are not happy with any of their candidates, and by not happy, I mean they're sick and disgusted. But
how could you put this guy out there? Seriously. I mean, honestly, in light of all this stuff, whether you want to go back to Billy Bush and grab him by the pussy or whatever it is, I mean,
Mexican thing,
being found culpable and guilty and or whatever. I guess it's not a guilty verdict, but yeah. Well, I mean, losing this lawsuit to this woman who he raped in Bloomingdale's or whatever. I mean, just insane. And that's nothing compared to, I mean, this January 6th thing. When you think about it, I'm still horrified. I remember turning on the TV that day and saying, "What the fuck is going on there? Is that our Capitol building or is this some cartoon I'm watching? What is that?"
That was bad.
Unbelievable.
It was really bad. It was what happens in quote unquote third world. And I don't like calling other countries that, especially now, because we in many senses are that. The fact that Trump literally, anytime he talks, he credits a dictator. Anytime.
Yeah.
The only people he gives credit to are like he was giving the president of China. I get because he's such a fucking moron. I guess he thinks the word president means it's a president. No, the guy in China is a dictator. Like just like the guy in North Korea is a dictator. Just like the guy in Russia is a dictator. Whatever title they've given themselves, they didn't have an open election.
Those are his three best buddies. Yeah.
Yes, they did not. Even in Russia, where they were doing presidents. Putin came in 20 years ago and said, "All right, we're done with that. I'm going back to the old ways," and they haven't been able to get him out. Like he only credits dictators. The fact that Republicans, who literally were the ones against the Red Army and against Mussolini, and the Republicans have been so anti-fascism. The fact that their two candidates have embraced fascism is the most sick irony ever.
It's insane. All these law and order people. And all they can do is try to excuse away and shrug away all of this criminal activity by Donald Trump, which, I mean, it's appalling that nobody has the balls to just stand there and say, "Hey, listen, you know what? What this guy did, he should be held responsible for if it's proven in a court of law." But, we're going to move on. We still have our agenda, and we think it's important to get this done or whatever. But at least have the balls to say, hey, how can you be on both sides of the fence and expect to get anybody's respect? It's impossible to say that, well, this is all bullshit, but you know what? We're going to run against this guy because we don't think he's the right guy for the job. It's insane. Insane. Anyway, that's my. I'm repulsed every time I see one of these mealy mouthed people like DeSantis yesterday and McCarthy every day and all of the Mitch McConnells and all of these people. Why don't they just say, hey, listen, if this guy is responsible and can be proven he was responsible, he deserves to go away for a lifetime. But they defended him in the 2 impeachments. They defended him everything he does. It's all a hoax and a witch hunt. The most victimized guy in the history of the world has to be one Donald J. Trump. No,
it was Einstein. I'm trying to think of who said when everyone in the room is saying one thing and you're the only one saying something else, they're not the ones that's wrong. Like, it can't always be a witch hunt. If every week something comes up, it can't always be a witch hunt. Like,
fucking Salem wasn't this much of a witch hunt. It's insane. Exactly. Anyway, I don't want to get too into it because I'm so appalled. I was thinking of my walk of life yesterday, and this is not a good thought, but I was thinking, the only thing maybe positive about my dad passing about 10 years ago was that he never lived to see this.
He missed all of this, yeah.
Because he was big into politics, and he was not exactly in line with the Republican beliefs. He was a staunch Democrat, but an open-minded person. And nonetheless, I mean, if he saw this, he would have been dying. I mean, literally. I mean, cringing at every single minute of news, and the news loves Trump, so he's always on there.
Yes.
What's funny is, I mean, for all of the talk about how the media doesn't want to see this guy, they probably would love it if he was president, if he was a decent human being.
Oh yeah, well,
because he would be good press no matter what. But that's just not the case. So let's hope that something. I don't know. I mean, this judge that Trump appointed, she seems a little weak, huh? Seems to be already leaning towards the idea of let me see what I can do for you, Donnie. I don't know if I can take this all away. This isn't going away. More indictments coming too. So, I mean, how crazy is that this is our, that's the best guy that we can have. I know Biden is sort of a senile old fool, but at least he seems to be doing things that would reflect the ideas that there may be some humanity left in the position.
Well, and that's the thing. And none of us follow. We're the first people to make fun of Biden. I don't know anyone that follows Biden like he's Roosevelt. Like, I mean,
yeah,
he's old senile cool.
He's not John F. Kennedy in terms of being dynamic. That's for sure.
No one would say he's not. But the thing is, he surrounded himself with really good people. Like, the things they're doing are good. And you're allowed to disassociate the two. You can say, look, and I don't want a caretaker, a president. I'd rather a young
It'd be nice to have a dynamic young leader 100%. Inspiring this country to great things.
But because he's not, that doesn't mean he's doing a bad job too. Like, people are getting confused with he's old and senile and has a stuttering problem, but he's doing a good job. They're both true. Like, if you look at the numbers across the board, it's fucking astounding the shit this guy's done, being old, senile, and having both. Like, even the Democrats aren't so Biden, and the Republicans hate him. But he's doing good. Inflation's down, jobs are up, and unemployment's down. He got that infrastructure thing passed, which
we're still living. Yeah, we're still living, which is good. We're not rioting in the streets.
And he's a human, whatever the Hunter Biden thing is. That's like the tip of Donald Trump. Like, come on, man.
I don't know that all of Trump's kids, aren't guilty of something. I mean, it may not be the kind of sleazy shit that Hunter Biden's doing, but I mean, that Jared Kushner doesn't have a lot to say about how he acquired all those billions of dollars, does he?
Come on, man.
We're not exactly getting the game plan there and the financial printout on how this happened. Yeah. All right. The Marlins, I'm glad you're wearing a shirt, Lubie, because it's inspiring me to not give up hope.
Well, I'm done.
I don't want. I mean, these last couple of games have been torturous because they rallied for the 4 runs in the 9th inning the other night. Had a rise at the plate with a guy in scoring position, and he does his thing, but hits a soft liner to left field. They're playing him like 2 feet behind the infield, and he lines out to end the ball game, and the rally dies with your best hitter at the plate.
Yep.
All right, you can accept that. They had a bullpen game going. They had this guy Okert in there to start the ball game. He gets shelled. He doesn't even get out of the first inning. And you're saying to yourself, well, every now and then you're just going to have to throw in the towel on one of these games, hope for the best. And they almost pulled it out. But unfortunately, that came on the heels of 3 straight losses to the Baltimore Orioles, who were in the midst of winning 8 straight games, 3 of which came at the expense of the Marlins. And then they go to St. Louis, a team that's been really underachieving this year. And they unfortunately may be catching the Cardinals at a time where they're beginning to turn it around. As people always say, baseball season is a marathon. You can get off to a hot start. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to sustain it. The Marlins surprised a lot of people, I think, by perpetuating their winning ways all the way through about 90 games. And here we are. And the salvation today against the Cardinals will be sending our former ace, Sandy Alcantara, out to the mound. And it appears now, I mean, we don't have an ace at this stage, do we? Kid pitched last night. Was great.
Cabrera, that's the thing is everyone's Luzardo, Cabrera.
Luzardo, was all right. I mean, I think he only went like 4 innings in his last start.
Well, because they're yanking guys out. He only gave up 3 runs. Like, a guy gives up 3 runs. That's a fine start. Like, their pitchers are doing their job. The 2 issues they had last year have reared their fucking ugly head. Yes, Jim Sarney's right. The lineup had done a good job. But if my contention was, and I think it's going to get proven out, true, and I'd rather be wrong here. Everyone's like, "Oh, Lubie, Julian gave me shit for talking shit about Jimmy Butler all year, and then I love Jimmy Butler because I'm an honest fan." Jimmy Butler had his moments. He did that stupid resting shit, so I was frustrated. But then when he played well, I'm going to give him credit, and then when he's hurt, I'm going to say he's fucking hurt. But if you go down the goddamn lineup, how many are real big leaguers? Like
threats, I guess.
Come on, like Rise is legit. Even Soler, who had his month and a half.
So Soler's numbers by normal standards here today are fine, actually. He's hitting around 250, like 246, 24 home runs. Those are numbers that you would you could afford to have Soler in the lineup. You would welcome him if you surrounded him with a lot of other guys that were having success.
Right. The problem is he had that first month and a half where he was like leading the big leagues in fucking homers. And the last month, he's gone back to the Soler we saw last year. He's a nice player. He's not the guy that they gave that money to, and he's not the guy that's a second big bat in the lineup or a first big bat in the lineup. De La Cruz is okay, but he's not a legit.
He's been good. No, I would say De La Cruz has proven this year to be, I mean, at least for this year, he's been a legit major leaguer. I would disagree with you there.
Like these are all these guys.
Birdie's hitting 280, not bad. Doing what you would expect of him.
They've all played fine, and that was Sarney's point. But look at their average now. Look at the runs now. Yes, you're right. I'm wrong in that regard. This year, up to this point, they had played above their head and were giving the Marlins just enough runs to go with a good starting pitching rotation and a really good bullpen.
They would have to have really tight pitching to win with this lineup. I would agree with you there.
And here's the problem. They're now going back into the fucking doldrums because that's who they are as hitters. And their bullpen, which was saving their ass, looks like the bullpen of last year. Floro, this Puck guy who was fucking great the first
Puck
half.
is, you could put an E on the end of his name at this point. I mean, he's turned into puke. He really has.
And last night was one of those close games where it's like, okay, come on, guys. And they did it. They got just enough runs. So, okay, you have a 2-1 lead. Let's gut it out. And then they fucking fell apart.
Yeah. Was it Okert again that came in there and blew the save? Yeah, I think so. Do you blow a save if you come in like the 7th inning and give up the tying run? Does that count as a blown save? I believe it might, because I thought I saw, unless this was just they were making an editorial comment in the box score, do you think they put BS next to his pitching line to say that it was bullshit that they brought him in there in the first place after we got absolutely, shelled the night before? Yeah, I mean, look, is it an overwhelming lineup? I still keep coming back to that. I don't know if Gene Segura has passed the Mendoza line. I want to say possibly yes to that. Is he above 200? Third baseman Gene Segura.
Yeah, I know.
But when they start Stallings, who's an outstanding defensive catcher, we've already researched that. He did win a Gold Glove, and that was one of the reasons they got him. He's good with the pitchers. They have a lot of young guys. It's helpful to have. At least defensively, I don't know that he's Johnny Bench, but real good player behind the plate.
He was hitting 219, so he's
okay. So that's a surge for Segura, because he was sub 200 for most of the first half of the season.
I know.
So and now it's a little bit more difficult to add points to the batting average. So you might have to have like a 300 spurt over 10 games to get to 219 from where he was at, because he's been playing regularly. Stallings has been platooning a little bit, and I guess getting the lesser of the action behind Fonts, but or is it Fontes or Fonts? How do we pronounce this guy's name?
I think it's Fontes, but I don't really know.
Fontes. I'm going to go Fontes. Nonetheless, and that guy has been okay. But you had, two guys in the lineup. That 2 of your 9 spots were occupied by guys that were under the Mendoza line with enough at-bats, a significant number of at-bats to say, hey, these guys can't hit. If they don't snap out of it in the second half, or we're dead meat, you can't afford to have 2 completely dead bats in your lineup, can you, Lubie? I mean, I'm with you on that. Some of the other guys, I mean, they're average or above average at best. And I'm with you. I'm not sold on Jorge Soler, although he was having a good season and still is by the new standard of the day, which is that batting average really doesn't count for much if you're producing power numbers. I mean, look at a guy like Kyle Schwarber. The guy's hitting leadoff. He was batting like 199 last year, wasn't he, for Philadelphia? And but he had 40 home runs, so nobody cared. And the guy's hitting in the leadoff spot in your lineup. That's the new era of Major League Baseball. But anyway, 5 in a row in the loss column for the Miami Marlins. Things going south. Is it time to panic?
Yes.
You need Alcantara to come through today against what's going to be a bullpen contingent from the St. Louis Cardinals. I believe that may be, is that an afternoon game in St. Louis? Is that possible? Is that like an earlier start tonight? I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. Probably another night game.
Right. It's an afternoon.
Oh, yeah?
Finishing.
What time they get that underway?
2:15. I don't think I've ever seen that time.
3:15?
2:15.
Okay. So that's what? That's is it 3:15 in St. Louis there? We're an hour earlier.
1:15. It's 1:15 there. 1:15 there.
It's 1:15 there. Oh yeah, you're right. 3 hours. It's an hour earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
I can't even do that kind of simple math anymore. Can you imagine? Well, let me see. If I was going this way, then you have to. Yeah. It's east to west. It's the east-west thing.
Look, Alcantara's had 3 good starts in a row. It's gone back to last year where he's not
no
getting
support.
I mean,
okay.
And then Sarni can say they're the best. First of all, that's going back to the last half. It still is there. They haven't fallen off.
Sarni is extremely optimistic about this team, and he loves Kim Ng.
Look, he can be, and it's fun. And I'm not.
And that's good. You need that sometimes. You need the other side of the argument.
I'm not rooting against them. I was defeated last night. It's a regular season game. When have I given a shit about regular season Marlins baseball? Yeah. I was paying attention to the whole goddamn game, and I was rooting them along, and I was going, oh, this doesn't feel right. But I was like, maybe. Like I didn't write them off, and then it was like the same issues though. They end innings, the double play thing. There's no pop in the lineup at all. They're not getting on the base.
Lately, not getting a lot of clutch hits.
They're not getting any.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
They have a negative run differential, though. Even when they were 14 games over 500, they're scoring less runs than they're creating. And, that's highly unusual. And they had all the success in one-run games. And, unfortunately, law of averages, Lubie, things tend to even out. And with those games that they were winning by a run earlier in the season now seem to be going the other way, including you can't really count this as a one-run game because Arenado hits a 3-run homer in the 10th for St. Louis to give them the victory last night, and the Marlins go down 5-2. John Birdie, though, I like John Birdie. He's one of those guys that would be a spark plug as a catalyst, utility player, can play different positions, and he always seems to hustle. He makes smart plays, John Birdie. Real good on the base pass, too.
I like the guy. Look, winning teams need guys like that. They have pieces here that a winning team would have. The problem is they don't have the base part around it. Like their building blocks are Arise and Soler. Arise is a 1980s kind of player, which in this league is great. I don't mind them having it. He can't be your best hitter. He can be your best contact hitter, but you need a bigger bat behind him. And then Soler is their big bat. Soler should be like your second or third big bat. And that's fine. This is a team that wasn't supposed to contend. It's just annoying to get 1,400 above 500, sort of maintain that.
It's a shame if it falls apart. You're right. But you look great in that shirt. I really believe this, Lubie. I'm not just putting you on here. I think you should wear this Marlins shirt more often. I'm thinking, should we go down there and support this team by attending a game? What do you think, Lubie? Or did you lose interest in that because they've lost 5 in a row coming out of the shoot here in the second half?
Games. We just don't get the free tickets we used to get. But I used to go at least 2-3 times a year.
Is that the only way we would go? That probably is the only way I'd go. Is if
until
somebody had me.
You and I used to go at least 3 or 4 games a year, and I used to go 2-3 times a year for sure. It was easy. I like going to games.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
The stadium's great. The location's not the dream, but it's not the pain in the ass everyone makes it out to be. It's actually, because no one goes to games, it's not that hard.
Well, why don't we get some baseball guys together? Guys we know are fans. So we'll get Joe Casal out there, or Sarney. Yeah. Maybe Mike Mayo will join us. I don't know. I think he's enough of a. He would be inclined to just want to hang out and shoot the shit. No, at a baseball game, isn't that part of what the fun is to go to a baseball game? You get to sit there and talk baseball. I'm not sure that Jim could watch the game without watching 16 other things on his phone. Because here's one for you. And I sent him a text last night, and I said I never thought I would hear myself say this, getting into odds and ends here, and a little gambling angle on the show. He told me that the U.S. team, the U.S. women's team in this World Cup, did he call it the World Cup, or was it the Fed Cup or something? Is it different for women? I guess it's now the World Cup.
It's the Women's World Cup. This is the Women's World Cup.
What was it before? Like it was like one of those, IBF designations where they're intercontinental champions.
This has always been, at least since the 90s, the Women's World Cup. I don't know what it was in the 60s. I don't think they had one. But.
Oh, I thought it was something else. I thought it was called like the Federation Cup.
Well, they have other things. There's tournaments like year round.
Who could follow it? There's a championship taking place in soccer every hour.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Oh, look at this. I mean, what is this cockamamie shit that Messi's going to be playing into on Friday night? It's not even a game. It's
some other tournament. Yes, it's another tournament, in-season tournament. Yes.
How is this possible? You have 30 teams in the MLS, and we don't know what defines the season. When does it start? When does it end?
It ends. Right? What did I say? It ends in like October, and it's 9 months. So is that February that it starts?
Where does it start? When does it end? What is that? A Grateful Dead song? Yeah. I believe so. But we don't know any of that. And yet in the middle of the season, they're doing some other stuff, which has nothing to do with their regular season, although Messi might play. 200, Lubie, supposedly reporters out there yesterday.
Unbelievable.
To watch Messi dribble a couple of balls around, and hit a couple of cones and practice for supposedly, I guess, they probably were giving you the real count on that, 15 minutes of action of Messi on the practice field. 200 people, international reporters, turn out to watch this guy that they've seen a zillion times just kick a ball around because he's wearing a new jersey. And it happens to be that of the Inter Miami CF. What would you call it? I mean, you already have football club in the title, though. Well, they call it club to football or whatever, which I can't even get that right. Just be the Miami Schminks or whatever you are. You got to get fancy. I mean, nobody knows what this team is. You say, hey, did you go to the Inter Miami FC game? It's like, what? What was that? CF game. Even I got it wrong because it doesn't make sense.
Oh, it's backwards.
To put the C before the F. What are you thinking, Jorge Nomas? Beckham can't figure this out? Oh, we're a football club. Oh, they have the greatest player in the world in the history of the game playing here right now, and they can't figure out a real name. Well, I mean, that's crazy. Whatever. But, for 15 minutes of watching this guy like scratch his balls and jog around the field one time?
100%, yeah.
You got to be kidding me. It was like covering the opening day of training camp with the Dolphins.
No,
remember, we used to go out there and be schlubbering on for 4 hours, and it was 150 degrees in the shade. And then they would come out there on the practice field and just kind of like douche around for a few minutes. And you're thinking, that's how they get ready for the season?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
No wonder they start out 0-7 every year under Brian Flores.
Watching camp's the stupidest thing.
Dumbest thing, right?
What do you mean? My favorite was when we would go and...
Not even a scrimmage. Let's stop playing. Let's run for, we'll run full for 15 minutes, all right?
Tannehill would sail like 30-yard passes that meant nothing with no coverage or anything. Everyone would be like, there it is.
Yeah. I remember, though, my one vivid realization occurred when Chris Chambers, his first day of practice, made like a diving catch in the end zone. I thought, wow, that guy's going to be great. And was he great? Nah.
No, he was good, though.
He was all right. He had some potential, yeah. But you were thinking, I think he was a second-round pick, and you're like, wow, that's what we got in the second round? This first round must really be something. I forget who it was. It's probably like John Bosa.
Someone busted, yeah, someone who busted.
Another complete bust comes out of the Dolphin draft. We'll have those details coming up in a moment. That's kind of how you had to begin every sports report the day after. But it's amazing the attention that this is getting. Tony's going to join us later on. Tony Segreto. He kind of poo-pooed this as no big deal. I was really surprised by that. Weren't you, Lubie? Because you would think Tony, he is Mr. Miami. And you're rooting for stuff to be good here, are you not? I mean, it was great. All the stuff that was going on this year, fantastic. Jim Larinaga getting recognition. Dusty May putting himself on the map and stamping himself as a future coach of the New York Knicks once Thibodeau just, sour pusses his way out of New York after this year when they're again a failure by comparison to expectation. What? How many times does Rose call Dusty May and say, "Listen, Dusty, FAU, are you kidding me?" I mean, it's nice. You go down there, there are girls in bikinis walking around the campus. Fantastic. You got P.F. Chang's across the street. Get some Chinese food. But other than that, you're in no man's land, my friend. This is a stepping stone. You need to be here in New York. But it was nice to see these guys, coming onto the national scene and getting recognition. And people are saying, "Hey, wow, this Jim Larinaga can really coach." How old is he? Is he 100? He's my age. It feels like 100.
He's older than me.
Yeah. He's still a lot sharper, I mean, than you could ever anticipate a guy being at this stage of life. I feel myself losing it every day. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but you're just coming into your prime, Lubie.
Sure. It doesn't feel like that. I'm exhausted.
I didn't really hit any kind of big stride in this business till I was like 40. So
Okay.
you're right there where you need to be. And it's going to happen. I'm telling you, if you can put that thing together for tomorrow afternoon, we'll be on our way. Once we get that going, we're on our way, Lubie. I can assure you.
I'm fine with where we are. I'm just tired. I'm not saying I'm in a bad place.
No, you're broke, and you don't want to be that way. You want to cash in on this gambling craze, which, look, we're advocates of it. I started to say this before I got sidetracked into whatever else we were talking about, because you're wearing it resplendently. You're displaying that Marlins jersey here on the show today. And you were one of the few guys that looks good in that shirt. I really believe that. Most people look stupid when they go to the Marlin game and they're wearing that particular shirt. I might have one too. Does it have your name on the back? Does it have Lubie?
This isn't the jersey one. This is just like a shirt. Remember when they released the new logo?
Yes.
And so excited, and they gave us shirts.
I usually stash all of that stuff because I feel silly wearing it.
I usually don't wear any of it, but for some reason at the time I've grown to not like it. But at the time I liked the material and I liked the way it looked.
It's a good looking shirt on you. It really is. I mean, and the logo stands out. If you could be, I mean, if if Bruce Sherman is watching the show, you could end up being the poster child for the Marlins.
There you go.
Probably mistake you for all these nondescript guys. Hey, is that John Bernie? Yeah, looks like Bernie. I hear he's only like 5'7".
I was gonna say he is. What do you mean? We had him at spring training. He was
if we could pass you off as Pat Day.
Yeah, well, Pat Day's like 5'4".
That was funny that they believe that, the security guys. Hey, Pat, I hope you're going to win the second. I got all my money on you. You started to say something. I'm like, no, don't speak, Lubie. We're in. Right? Imagine if you turned around as Pat Day and said, hey, thanks, Joe. They would have known right away. I still can envision that because everybody was like kind of, crappy out there. And when it's lousy weather at Churchill Downs, even in the first Saturday in May, the first week of the spring season, you got flowers blooming and all of this shit going on. And when it's lousy there, it's lousy. Yeah. I mean, same thing at Keeneland. If you guys are fans of going to Keeneland, when you get those raw, rank, rainy days, which the weather in that part of the country is much more bizarre than it is here. And that's saying a lot. Isn't that? Because you don't know what you're going to get. Yesterday, I start out my walk of life here, right from the house, right? I'm across the street from the Sea Watch restaurant on A1A, and I make my left turn. I'm going to walk up to the Briny Pub, another fabled establishment here, which you would think, I don't know, don't we have to do one of those Mike Mayo lunchboxes from the Briny Pub? You talk about an old,
we never say no,
iconic establishment. Right. I mean, the same old salty dogs are in there that are always in there. And it's a lot of people just having a good time, yelling and screaming, happy that they live near the beach and are by the beach. Got bands going, good stuff. But I turn the corner and I walk up about, I guess, through the first mile. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, clear, beautiful, sunny day, here's lightning striking all around me. Like, whoa. What is this? I mean, they may as well have just attached a couple of electrodes to my head. And that can happen. But in Kentucky, And that area of the country, I don't know what does that encompass. That area of the country, if I'm going to put a broad label on that, Kentucky, what, Indiana, is that subject to this also? You can have just an absolutely pristine, beautiful 65, 68-degree day without a cloud in the sky. And you degenerates out there, if you're thinking on your bucket list, you want to attend the races at Keeneland Racecourse, which I recommend 1,000%. If you've been a racing fan your whole life and you started out in the throes of the dungeons of Yonkers and Roosevelt Raceway, watching Carmine Abatello stiff 3 to 5 shots, once you get to Kentucky, you really do. If you're at Keeneland on a beautiful day, you feel like you died and went to horse racing heaven. It doesn't matter, win or lose. You don't even care. You're stuck 400 after the third race, and you're thinking, wow, this is beautiful. I love it, man. Think I'll have myself a hot dog, which that Mayo $15 hot dog drew a lot of interest yesterday. At the $30 hot dog, they were talking about that on a morning news. The $30 hot dog in New York.
It's on purpose, though. You do it to get the attention. Because what normal person spending $30? Brian Schwartz, the guy that will watch both of the shows, was saying somewhere there was a $160 hot dog. It had like caviar and it had foie gras. And it's like, okay, so you're just trying to make a really ridiculously expensive thing that no one's going to actually buy. Like who's eating?
What's next? Marshmallow fluff on a hot dog? I mean, a hot dog should only have a couple of things on it. I mean, people like it different ways, but you have the Chicago dogs and all of this different stuff. The Lucky Dog in New Orleans is one of my favorites. Although, is it the greatest hot dog? I don't think so. No, it's kind of mushy. Especially when they put enough chili on there, though, to feed all of the people on Bourbon Street, at least a small corridor of the French Quarter. It's crazy. But, if you're a New Yorker, I don't know. It's not really your style, but, nonetheless, you're thinking, all right, at like $5.95, it's well worth it. And it's going to be worth a try. The cart alone, I want to buy one of those carts, the Lucky Dog carts. You think I could purchase one?
Probably. Where are you putting it?
I might be working it outside the courthouse.
Pick
up more of that stuff from Jack Smith. Take a letter, Maria. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Address it to 45. This guy will never see any prison time, will he?
No, I don't know about prison. I just think that I'd love to see him go through a trial. I'd love to see him actually face some of the crap.
I'd like to see him, convicted of the complicity that he had in the January 6th thing, at the very least.
Breaking the laws openly. And
if he gets away with that thing in Georgia, that's also an atrocity, Mr. McCarthy. Mr. Big Shot, Big Mouth DeSantis. Oh, I'm a Mr. Tough Guy. I tell you what, I'm going to stomp out all of those woke people. I mean, wake up yourself. Is the only way you can look at it.
The open-minded people. Like, they're scary.
Unbelievable. All right. So anyway, I was getting into this with Sarni and his odds that he sent me.
Yes.
Women's World Cup. Okay. They open up against Vietnam, Lubie. Did you suspect at any time in your lifetime that you would be watching a game involving the vaunted U.S. women's soccer team and what has to be somewhat of an upstart team from Vietnam? Were you aware that Vietnam even participated in any kind of international sporting event? Have you ever seen the Vietnamese
soccer? Possibly soccer.
Well, I mean that is what they're in. It's U.S. versus Vietnam. Sarni tells me that to win $100 on the U.S. women's team, which he considers to be a veritable cinch. Holy Megan Rapinoe, huh? It's 40,000 you have to bet to win 100. Now who's taking that action? That would be my question.
You sure? Because Ken said that you were getting 4-1.
He said it was 40,000, that they were minus 40,000.
I don't know.
So you were getting what? What is that? 400 to 1?
I don't think they're overwhelming favorites this time. They're the favorites. They're the clear-cut favorite. In the world's mind, other teams have caught up. I think Ken was saying yesterday he actually may consider betting on them because it's usually like 1.5 to 1 or some stupid ass chalky 3 to 2, whatever the fuck. Super chalk fest. He said they were getting 4 to 1.
4 to 1.
Yeah,
4 to 1 would not be enough to entice me to bet on Vietnam in this event. But these are.
Oh, you're talking about Vietnam or USA? You're talking about Vietnam?
I'm talking about Vietnam against the US of A. If you wanted to bet this game, Jim Sarni says you have to lay $40,000 to win 100. Which nobody in their right mind is going to do that. If you're a bookmaker, wouldn't you just be happy to give away $100 bills for every fool that put up the 40,000?
that's
and
super
say, and how much action could you possibly handle on that?
Too much
Are you really going to take some guy's $40,000, and then you're like the general manager of the sports book at Caesar's Palace, and you've got your fingers crossed, and you're wearing like a straw hat, saying, "Let's go Vietnam, let's go Vietnam." But I never thought I would say take the points with Vietnam. Did you ever in your lifetime consider? See, now you weren't a child of the Vietnam era, there, where I mean, there was the question. I don't know if Andy's quite old enough to be in this category. Sarney might be. Is Jim? Did he hit septuagenarian status? Jim Sarney? I don't want to put age on the guy because he still looks the same as he did in 1990. Did you notice that?
yeah.
Did I send you that picture of Sarney with all the Wimbledon riders?
He looked exactly the same.
Exactly the same with the same expression. It's amazing how a guy could sustain himself. I mean, not even Ryan Seacrest has the secret of appearing young and like he did many years ago that our own good friend, dear friend of the show, Jim Sarney has. Same exact. I wish I could post this picture up here. I mean, is there any way for us to do this as a matter of production, Lubie? Sarney sitting there with like
I don't know if I can
the history of sports writing.
Did you text me it? If I can find it, I can put it up there. I just have to find it.
I'll text it to you during the break if we ever get to one. But
I was just gonna say,
how could you possibly stop talking about this stuff? I mean, Vietnam. So would you take the points with Vietnam? And,
no.
Can you ever see yourself walking up to a window in a sports book? You're in Atlantic City. I mean, soon it's going to be everywhere but Florida. Maine is putting in sports gambling. Kentucky just put in sports gambling. Everybody in the world has sports gambling now, except us. Although, did somebody say that it was happening? When I was on my trip to Atlantic City, there was a guy who's pretty knowledgeable in wagering. In fact, he actually had. He told me he brought 50 grand with him to play with. I mean, why would you even do that though? Would you bring 50 grand, or would you wire it into like the cage or something? Could you feel comfortable walking around with 50 dimes on you, Lubie? I guess if you had like 50 million, you probably wouldn't think much of it. But would you really bring $50,000 on your person?
No.
To a gambling situation?
No way.
Unless you were going right in, through all of these underground trap doors that the Greek always has to traverse when he's down there playing roulette on Canal Street. Back in the day.
Yeah, no, I would not be comfortable with that much money on me in a public setting. Not even a little.
I'll never forget that when I was on Canal Street, and girl I was with at the time was not a big fan of knockoffs, and I didn't realize that. And I went to great extent to go to Canal Street and buy her like a knockoff Gucci bag at some ridiculously low price. And I literally, as we went through like the third trap door, there was a table with 6 guys playing Russian roulette. I'm thinking, I'm trying to buy a $40 bag that's supposed to be worth $6,000. I mean, I don't care if it doesn't look exactly like it, but I really didn't need to see all of this. This is the culture here. Talk about heat culture. My God. All right, so you walk up to the window at the MGM Grand and you say, "Give me 200 on Vietnam plus a goal."
Vietnam's not winning that game. Oh my God! Okay,
No,
it's worth it at those stupid ass odds, but like we've talked.
So you were saying a professor recommends taking 4-1 on the U.S. team to win it all.
Sarney's saying it's almost 2.5 to 1. I don't know wherever Ken's getting Segreto type odds.
Yeah,
I don't know where he's getting.
He must be going to Tony's bookie. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But he supposedly is getting. He was just saying he saw somewhere they could be, which usually they're such an overwhelming favorite that would be great to take them at those odds because they're probably still going to win it all, and now you actually get something for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not inclined to watch that game. I'm certainly not inclined to wager on it.
Right.
I can't imagine even the most pronounced of phantom plungers could possibly, ever envision putting up $40,000 for the chance to win 100.
Yeah, no.
As much of a cinch as it is.
No one's betting that way. And
essentially, they're saying if you walk down to the corner of A1A and Commercial, when you get to the light, Lubie, somebody's going to hand you a $100 bill. Would you walk down there?
Yeah, to put up that much, there's nothing that's a cinch because let's say they have a stupid ass penalty. Soccer sucks because if you have a dumbass red card early in a game, which happens, now you're down a person the entire match. It's like, oh. Okay.
You know what would haunt me about it? The woman who made the penalty kick, who beat you out of the 40,000, would be Fu from Cambodia. I guess she would be from Vietnam in this case. Yeah.
Like the cooler.
Do they take the neighboring country there, or does Cambodia have its own team that we can also beat? What are we doing playing Vietnam and like this vaunted women's team? How ridiculous is that? What a stupid sport! Incredible. Don't be ignorant of that, though, people. I mean, with this Messi mania, it's still like the dumbest fucking game that you could ever engage in. It's just stupid. I'm sorry. You know what? And look, who am I to critique anybody's taste in sports? If you think it's great, it's great. What do I like? Boxing and horse racing. Two of the most obscure. I mean, these horse racing people and boxing fans have been bordering on extinction forever, supposedly. And yet, what's happening, Lubie? Saratoga's going on today. There'll be people betting it all over the world. And you have one of the biggest boxing matches, which I would imagine is going to do pretty good box office numbers there with Spence and Crawford coming up on July 29th. I don't know which way to go on that one. I don't know that it's, is that just a fans fight? Boxing, do you really have to be kind of like a boxing... It's not like the kind of fight that has the general appeal of those Mayweather fights, which is remarkable that Mayweather was able to market himself as enough of a villain that everybody hated him so much they wanted to see and thought that it was possible that Victor Ortiz could knock him out.
Yeah.
Right? So we're paying what? I mean, $100. People, I remember throwing parties. Everybody was always calling me, "Hey, Defo, you going to have the fight?" Next thing you know, I got like 50 people at the house. Trashed the place, don't bother cleaning up after themselves, and as soon as the fight was over, Jesus, can you believe it? They gave one round to Marquez. that was okay. Nice seeing you.
Yeah, 100%.
Never again, Louie. Never again. This is one fight I would be tempted to buy, though. I'm tempted to buy all of them, but I never do because being Victor, the Mayweather thing was one of those deals where I actually stayed with my conviction, which is after watching this last travesty, was that Mayweather-Pacquiao, which was one of the worst fights that you could ever. I mean, every round you're praying, please, Manny, tell me that you didn't break your shoulder playing golf. I mean, it was Sonny Liston all over again. The guy couldn't raise, what was it? Was it his right hand? He couldn't throw a right the entire fight, and he still looks like he's in there.
Yep.
My God.
That was a stupid fight.
Telling you, I'll never forget when Eddie Kaplan and I were calling the Mayweather Angel Manfredi fight at a certain native casino that I don't want to dive into because Jack Smith might, go back through the records and say, you know what, we didn't do enough to this guy. He's ready to rough up old Danny Boy, isn't he? Well, what do you think, Lubie? Who's going to win that battle? Smith or Trump?
Oh, I don't know if it's a win because Smith is going to take it as far as he can, but there's always some escape hatch for fucking Trump.
Always, yeah. Somehow he'll get out of this thing. I mean, they'll give him his own island off the Maldives and just say, listen, Donnie boy, just forget about all of it. We didn't mean anything by it. Just don't run for president again. But we saw Mayweather, Eddie K, a very knowledgeable boxing guy, and he beat Manfredi, who was the favorite in the fight, believe it or not, in 2 rounds. This was probably, I want to say it was at 130 pounds. Okay, so he eventually, and this, I think, as a young Mayweather, I mean, obviously, what was his proper weight? He later went on and fought all the way up to 147. Weren't most of those bouts at 147 pounds? Louis, the Mayweather fights that were particularly dull. I mean, just 12 rounds of pure boxing drudgery. Where the boxing fans who would come over to your place to poach watching the fight said, yeah, this sucks. I'll never watch another fight again. Sure enough, the next time Mayweather was on the card, there you go. You got another 100 people at your house. But I thought Mayweather was as good as anybody I'd ever seen. I really did. And Eddie K, was also astonished at how good this guy was in the early stages of his career.
He just coasted. I mean, he realized, okay, no one can beat me if I just play defensive fighting, and it's true, but it led to a decade of really shitty fights.
Oh, God, with the shoulder roll and the whole thing. And then you had Adrian Broner come in, and he copied his style, but he was such an asshole that he fucked up this opportunity, even though he made millions of dollars and, probably doesn't have to worry too much about where his next meal is coming from, which it looks like, I think he's still fighting, right?
I don't know, but he's blowing up, and I think he has money
He
issues.
looks like Ricky Hatton between fights, this guy.
Yeah, I think he has issues money-wise because he's a fucking idiot.
Not what you consider to be, the sharpest knife in a drawer.
No, he's a dumbass. I say it because, remember, I was the one that liked Broner. I remember watching his first few fights.
Yeah, he was a very entertaining fighter in the early stages.
Beat fucking Mayweather, thank God. And then he would race and drugs and alcohol and get in fights. I was like, okay, so this guy doesn't get it. All right.
So Spence Crawford. What do you have enough knowledge of the two guys? You've seen Spence. You've probably seen Crawford a number of times.
I've seen clips of them. I haven't watched a fight in a long time.
Oh yeah, wow.
Between the pay-per-view stuff, between COVID, between them always pitting. Like I tried to get into Triple G and Canelo.
Yeah, that was unfortunate the way they brought that off. Yeah,
that was late too. Like the last two that
Triple G looked like Archie Moore in his last fight.
He was old, and Canelo,
the mongoose
followed the goddamn Mayweather path, and I'm gonna fight a bunch of stiffs. And then when they call me a legend, I'll then fight the good guy when he's an old fart. Like, so it sort of clouded my interest in boxing.
And then the thing with Conor McGregor, and he's fighting like movie stars.
I watched that fight. Yes, I watched that fakakta nonsense because you and
that was another pay-per-view, total ripoff. Yeah,
it was fucking stupid. And that was
he's eating a Pink's hot dog. Speaking of hot dogs, in the corner, as Floyd mumbles something that is undiscernible, and you're thinking, "Wow, that's great coaching."
That was a fucking joke.
And Floyd Senior talking about.
So I'm into this fight. I want to watch it. Who's going to win? I have no idea. I don't know either fighter enough, but
both good. No, both excellent. There's no question. I don't know that you can really separate them. We had Brad Jacobs, who would know, because now he's like the CEO of Top Rank Boxing. Brad Jacobs, Hall of Famer now, good friend of ours for many years. Was a big time boxing promoter and producer on TV. And he said that he picked Crawford, and Crawford, he would have reason to kind of, he's a straight up guy. So but Crawford left Top Rank Boxing and didn't have particularly flattering things to say about Bob Arum and the way that they operate, accusing them of being racist and saying that they held back his career deliberately because he was a black fighter, and a lot of stuff that seemed to not necessarily jive with the Arum business model, which would be make as much money as you possibly can. But the problem is, Terrence Crawford, you fight in Omaha, Nebraska all the time against a bunch of stiffs, and nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah,
even though you're great. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. My initial lean, but it's so tainted. I mean, I guess I'm going to be rooting for it because I kind of see what happens with that. All right, coming up, he's standing by. We'll go a little old school with Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. That's straight ahead. I wonder, was Tony among the 200 that were out there for the messy practice?
I would say no.
Bernie Rosen would have been, angling. So he probably would have been the guy that sent the chopper out there to get the jump on everybody else. Everybody else is on the ground saying, hey, wow, I can't really see Messi. And there's Bernie Rosen with Tony hanging from a rope ladder and a camera, young Tony Segreto. I mean, if it was the beginning stages of his career, he would have been all over that with Messi.
That's why he's so jaded. Not because he can't see how important Messi is, but because he's done this for 50 years. And at some point, you get sick of being the guy to run out to the fakakta story.
They're going to Segreto first.
It wears on you like, no, this is the biggest one. I've seen the biggest one for the last 50 years.
What do you mean we weren't on with Tony Segreto? Then what was the point of this whole big publicity stunt? That's the way, Jorge Nomás would have been, heads would have been rolling in the offices there. What? We didn't get to do Tony? Well, you set that up. Make sure he gets a one-on-one. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Tony Segreto goes old school with us in a moment. Here on the Defo Show. Now that. It's 8:01.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Right. Good spirits and happy to have with us. Everybody's got a uniform shirt or Gap, some kind of apparel on. Even I do. I don't know if you can make out the logo there, Tony. You've probably been there. We welcome into the show the big Yankee fan himself, Tony Segreto, going old school, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. That would be the Indian Creek Country Club, Tony.
Ooh.
Where did I get the shirt? You're asking.
Yeah,
how did I come across one of these?
Where did you get the shirt?
It's pretty clear.
The lovely and talented Leslie Visser.
Ah.
And the Duke was a member of the country club, golfed there frequently. But I got thrown out of there, Tony, many years ago. We hit one out of bounds on the country club. Somehow I was out there on some media thing, and I ended up looking for my ball, and then I had to take a leak, so I started urinating, and it turned out I was urinating in Shula's backyard.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Couldn't be any worse. How are you, my friend?
Just fine. How are you?
Good. And,
I heard you talking about the hot dog carts in New York.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a story to tell you. I was at a wedding, and it was over the top. The wedding was over the top. It was 3 days of partying.
Nice.
At the end of the reception for the wedding, we all went back to the hotel. It was midnight, 1:00 in the morning, and my buddy goes, "Want to go get a hot dog?" I said, "A hot dog?"
A hot dog.
I said, "Yeah, where are we going to get a hot dog?" He says, "Come with me." We go across the street. The cart across from the Waldorf.
From the Waldorf, they have a hot dog cart.
Yeah.
They don't have somebody that could shoo that old geezer away.
It was raining.
Oh, Jesus.
We're standing there in line with the bridesmaids.
Yeah.
In their bathrobes.
Get out of here.
And we ate hot dogs in the rain.
Beautiful thing, Tony.
They were delicious. They were by far the best hot dogs. And this guy is a hot dog freak.
Did they have the stick, with the mustard, where the guy dips the stick into a mustard vat and then smears it?
Yeah.
That was my favorite. If a guy that was really good at that technique, that could make it happen real fast and then wrap them.
Yep.
There was a level of expertise there, no doubt about it.
A level of expertise that was unmatched.
The guys, though, looked like, I don't know if you're familiar with this. Were you a fan of Jethro Tull by any chance, Tony?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the guy on the cover of the Aqualung album, with the decrepit-looking old man that's a very scary figure. That's how most of the hot dog cart vendors look. Because if you got to New York at a certain time of the day, they were all coming in or out of wherever the commissary was where they came from. And I don't know if it would be a commissary, but wherever they parked the carts and everything and got their supplies. And, and you would look at this parade, and it was a parade of total degeneracy. I mean,
absolutely. You had.
It wasn't like the health department was checking on these people.
You had to pass degenerate school in order to pass.
Yeah. I mean, you had to look like you had just slept in the streets for a couple of days, dishing out hot dogs in the rain to a wedding party that was taking place while the people were staying at the Waldorf. My God. Yeah. No, I love that kind of food. I mean, it was one of the few things I enjoyed about going around New York City for whatever reason. I never really was a big fan of being in Manhattan. But yeah, I would go there. They had the 3 pretzels for they might have been a quarter when I was a kid.
Oh, good.
3 giant, I mean, beautiful New York pretzels, which you can't get anywhere anymore, not even in New York.
No.
I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe they discovered
There's only one.
They discovered the ingredient was not good for the soul.
There's only one pretzel, only one big pretzel that's worth buying.
Where are you going, Wawa?
And
No, they have the Philadelphia pretzels. Aren't bad. You know, a reasonable facsimile.
yeah, the pretzels they sell at Notre Dame, and
Notre Dame.
and the pretzels they sell at Florida State are by
Florida
far
State.
by far
Wow.
the biggest pretzels in the world, and you could have like 5 of them.
I don't know if I could eat 5 of them.
So connoisseur.
Yeah. But I love the hot dogs from the carts. I like the same hot dog guy also had like the stick with the pretzels on them. And, you know, and they would occasionally heat them up, but they didn't heat them up enough to actually make a difference. You know, the guy would stick it on the grill and it would just get a little bit of a charcoal smoke to it, but never any heat.
Now they do. Now they do. And now the guy at the cart sells peanuts.
Peanuts too. Okay.
And popcorn. And so it's
haven't they got more elaborate though? I mean, like what used to be the hot dog cart now sells falafels.
Yes. Falafel, they do gyro, they do hot dogs, and a sausage and pepper. They usually have like 6 to 8 things now. It's not your simple hot dog cart.
Not some old crumpled up old soul. Yeah.
I think we should go. I think we should go and then
you have to tell me I love New York. I'll go to New York.
We'll do a Mayo's lunchbox from there.
He would love it. Yeah, so would I. All right, let me ask you this, Tony. I mean, if Bernie Rosen was, you know, just getting going with the sports department there at Channel 4, right? And a young Tony Segreto was on the scene, how would you have, you know, kind of
we'd have been
gotten ahead of everybody else on the Messi story when he was practicing the other day?
We'd have met Messi at the airport.
Okay.
First of all,
disguised as a pilot or something because you couldn't get access to him.
And we would have lived with him. No, we would have lived with him for a week.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
Channel 7, you know,
Bernie would have figured out how to live with them, and I'd pack my bags and go.
He's in his home.
Did it piss you off that Channel 7 had a chopper all the time hovering over these events? Because they did it again.
No.
I mean, they went back old school, and you know they had a helicopter hovering over the field for a while,
they could have
pretending to be a traffic helicopter, but it was actually like, I think it was Mike DePasquale was down there with a little camera.
They could have everything they want. That doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, what did you think of all that fanfare, or did you catch any of it? The Messi unveiling. I mean, he hasn't done anything yet, and then they invite the media out there. 200 people, 200 reporters showed up to watch this guy, like just kind of, you know, little man running in shorts for like 15 minutes at the park.
What do you?
It would have been more entertaining to watch my dog Skippy running around at the beach.
Let's go. Let's see Skippy run.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm at a loss. You know, I've seen this so many times. So many stars. We've seen them come and go, and I think we'll see Messi do his thing now, and then he'll fall in the annals of doldrums. You know, it'll just be the same old story. You know, it doesn't get any better. Now, David Beckham was just on, and
but Beckham's always going to get camera time, though, Tony. Tell me you could ever turn down a Beckham interview. He could be talking about how much he loves Ron DeSantis, and you'd still give him airtime.
But that's another story. But to me, Messi is another charlatan who's come to town.
Wow!
And he's gonna
you seem like Billy Cunningham or Kevin. Lou Chaffel.
If you ask me what I think, that's what I think.
Wow. See, I don't know. I'm not sure where it's going to go. I mean, I don't know. You know, as cynical as I like to be about these kind of things. You know, and he seems like a very likable guy. I mean, he
seems like a good guy,
like a guy you could root for. Am I rooting for soccer to fail down here? No. I mean, you know, if another sport made it big and the fans loved it, whether I was into it or not, okay, I can accept that if people, are enjoying themselves and they're going to games and being entertained. And the guy does have the reputation as being the greatest player right now. What, still in the game?
Yeah.
Is that right,
Top
Lubie?
3. I would say he's top 3 to top 5, but he's going to go down as a top 2 to 3 player ever when it's all said and done.
He's entertaining too. I mean, for a game that I think is stupid, he's a very entertaining player in that game. I mean, when he has any kind of presence on the offensive end, especially when he has the ball. I mean, the guy does things that you're looking at and going, "Holy shit! This is Kobe Bryant with no hands."
Yes.
He's great.
Are they gonna set it up for him to win?
How could he not though? He went to like a minor league. This would be like Tony Segreto in his prime when you were playing baseball, and you go down and fake a birth certificate and end up playing for the Staten Island Little League team at 16.
Yeah, go.
Exactly.
How does he not score 5 goals a night? And if he doesn't, who would want to pay to see this?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I don't know either. But I do know the Jets opened up training camp today.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, and they're not happy, Tony, because they have TV cameras in their face.
I know.
How do you feel about that? Being the guy that was identified
They
as
gotta
Mr.
deal with
TV
it.
down here.
They got to deal with it because that is the story of the year.
Oh yeah, the Rodgers thing's everything.
But wouldn't you think, though? I mean, that they would actually have some fun with it. I mean, why is the NFL so paranoid? They know what the drill is. They find the rookie that has no shot to make the team, and then they, make sure they follow him through, the 2 weeks that he's in training camp. And then when his girlfriend gets the news, she's sobbing, and they sit by the lake and they contemplate what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. And then you have occasional glimpses of the superstars and. A lot of meetings where they curse a lot.
Yeah,
that's it, though. I mean, so what do you have to be worried about?
I don't know, but then again, the NFL has always been worried about this stuff. They've always been. There used to be a joke that they could be building nuclear war weapons back there, and you would never know.
Yeah, I don't know though. I mean, have we seen any such revolutionary strategies? In recent years where you go, oh my God, how could they possibly have kept that? I mean, everybody knows everybody else's plays, you would think, and what they're going to do.
You would think, and you would think that the NFL would get beyond where they are today, media-wise. You would think that you would allow access to locker rooms. You would think you'd have access to locker rooms after the game, but that hasn't happened. And to me, it's a shame as a media guy. And also, it's a shame that we haven't seen it more in demand, where people demand seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, having gone in locker rooms like you did a million times after games, I didn't find it as fascinating as a lot of people would imply that it was.
People still want to see it. People still want to see it.
Jock straps flying. The guy comes, hey, if your underwear isn't in the bin in 5 minutes, it's not going to get on a plane.
Exactly.
You're thinking, it wasn't all that much. And then, the things that players said after games. I was always a little reluctant to even approach anybody, especially when they were seething after a loss. And you would end up talking to Pete Stoyanovich for 15 minutes because, even though he wasn't involved in a single play, they had no field goal attempts.
Field goal.
And only kicked the ball off at halftime. And that was it, I mean, but you're going to Pete and going, well, geez, that shutout. I tell you what, the defense was good today, huh?
Pete Stoyanovich, man. What a name of the past.
Yeah, he was great.
He was great.
You would end up going to the kicker, to get your quotes after a loss.
Well, you would have to get the tough interview, even though he didn't want to get it. But a lot of times
Marino with steam coming out of his ears. You had a good relationship with him, though. You were like on the Marino show and the Shula show, all of this stuff. Don, though, he didn't really, he didn't necessarily want to answer like.
Don didn't want to do anything that would cause controversy.
No. And he, when Alan Barner would ask him if he could be possibly satisfied with a win no cover, that time. I'll never forget that. And you talk about Stephen Harvey's like, okay, that's it. No more electronic media. That's it. Okay, coach is done.
Yeah. I remember Shula one time called me in his office and he said to me, do you realize that the 13 and 10 are making my life miserable?
Yeah.
I said, so what am I going to do about it? Well, I just
turn him
thought,
around. You got to talk to your man, Danny.
Yeah.
He was giving you a message, Tony. He was the messenger. Mark Clayton, by the way, speaking of the Dolphins, nominated now for the Hall of Fame. Long overdue. I don't know that he's going to generate the steam at this point. I mean, how long has Clayton been out of the game? I want to say, Danny's been out almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
Or more than that, 20 some odd years. So Clayton, it's got to be, is it that long that he hasn't been playing?
Yeah. I don't know if
statistically well worth it. I mean, and he was actually somebody that was more, more spectacular than his stats would even indicate.
My problem with Clayton is that he always snubbed the media.
Yeah, I don't know. I was okay with Mark Clayton.
He was not me. Not me.
That's the one that Mayo had a thing with.
Yeah.
Clayton. He was
it Clayton?
Yeah, he was like backing Cox, who didn't want to talk, and Clayton was his mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mayo had to
so to me, I wonder if that's
he was a little distant, I would say, as compared to some of the other Dolphins. I mean, he wasn't exactly Ed Newman when it came to welcoming the media. Yeah.
I wonder if that'll play a role.
Could. You know what? Well, we've seen, that be a factor in the past with different people. All right, we want to welcome in. I know you've been eating well, Tony, because Texas Roadhouse restaurants. I mean, and there he is. Wow,
here we go. Guys,
spectacular. The Big Ten Media Day is on, and joining us right now, here he is, the coach of the Michigan Wolverines, Ed Garcia.
Ed Garcia.
Good morning. Good morning.
And tell us about coaching.
Exactly.
Hey, well,
I mean, you're feeding Harbaugh his plays, aren't you not?
I wish I was. Now, actually, you know what? Jim has been doing a great job the last few years. I don't know about practicing the Georgia drills as they were talking about a few weeks ago. Getting ready for Georgia, they need to do the TCU drills first.
Wow.
That's a snuff against my own team. But, regardless, they're doing a fantastic job. I'm really excited about the recruiting and the future. And I'll tell you, it's got a great season coming up. Only 45 days away, maybe about 3 hours and a few minutes till kickoff, but it's right around the corner, so I'm getting pretty excited.
It sure is. Well, tell us about what's going on at the Texas Roadhouse this week and this month, and all the great summer activity you got going on.
Well, it's a lot like Michigan football, a lot of blocking and tackling, some really, really big plays. And I'll tell you, one of the cool things about Texas Roadhouse is the community involvement. And right now we got a lot of different things going on. Miami Flagler yesterday had a big adoption drive for puppies. Nice. And that was extremely successful. Down up on the East Coast, the Melbourne and Vieira area, they have a lot of big beach cleanups. Even though it is blazing hot, it's really cool to see the team come together and just go out there and work on the community and different things like that. But inside the four walls, I'll tell you, we still got legendary steaks going on. We got a little bit of planning today. We host a meat cutoff that's coming up in late September, early October, because inside of every Texas Roadhouse, we hand cut our steaks. And we have anywhere from 2 to 3, and actually sometimes 4 people that are learning this trait of hand cutting steaks.
Wow.
And they go through a competition that starts late this fall. And it's kind of like the college championship. They take it all the way to the end to win $25,000 and have their name basically immortalized for a year. And that's against every meat cutter in the nation, which is probably a good 1,200 people is where it starts off with. Really cool piece, because I'll tell you, it's an art in order to make that happen, to give you that quality steak.
I bet. I bet. And the way where the steaks are hand cut is so perfect that first of all, you don't get any fat, and you get the marbling that you just want, and it's ideal. I mean, I couldn't ask for any more.
I mean, grocery store is a great steak, but when you buy those ribeyes at the grocery store, which, by the way, are more expensive than Texas Roadhouse.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
It's the inflation is unbelievable. But you go and you buy a pack and they're all cut maybe a little bit uneven and things like that. But at Texas Roadhouse, these meat cutters have a specific weight and size and dimension they need to hit. So just really, really cool stuff. Super proud of them. But that's just one of the secrets of Texas Roadhouse that gives you legendary.
Yeah.
I have to ask you this, Ed. Are you familiar with the Sea Watch restaurant, Lauderdale by the Sea?
No, I'm not.
No, okay. Well, it's across the street from my house. I'm kind of hoping maybe you guys could look at the property there and think about buying these guys out. They've been there for like 100 years. Because I was thinking about the coldest beer that I could get my hands on. I do my walk of life, and that's kind of the ending point there. And I would much rather, instead of turning right into my house and digging through the fridge, go straight to the left and get one of those ice cold draft beers that you guys have chilled to perfection, because there's nothing better after enduring this heat here in South Florida.
I wrote it down. I'm going to try to make it happen for you.
What about?
Oh gosh, I would live here forever if there was a Texas Roadhouse across the street.
What about Davey? What about Davey?
Still working on Davey. Still working on it.
Ed, we love you, man. Go Michigan. Well, we hope it's a good season for you. We're looking to forward to getting your thoughts on everything on the college football during the season as well. And thanks so much for joining us here. And always great to talk about Texas Roadhouse restaurants.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
Very good. Ed Garcia, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Tony, what about your Yankees? They're going to do something?
I don't know. Judge is out. They're trying. They're trying and they're trying.
Cashman, worthless? I mean, where do you rate Brian Cashman? He hasn't done really anything of significance outside of spend money in a long time.
Yeah, Cashman is really he's a disappointment.
All right, Tony. I mean, you absolutely always a pleasure, my friend. I can't believe you're not on the Messi bandwagon. Very surprising.
I love that he's the negative one. What the hell's happened?
We're touting this thing as if it was a second coming of Jesus himself.
Oh God!
Lubie's thinking about going, out there to practice. We had a live guy from the practice yesterday.
Lubie, what are you thinking of? God,
the dude's great. I don't have any expectations for them as a team, and I don't really care about the MLS. But I think it's cool to have Messi here.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
I mean, why not? If he's going to be anywhere. I mean, we didn't really follow him that closely when he was in Barcelona.
Barcelona or Paris.
Paris?
I was in Paris.
When am I going to be there? Never.
Did you go see him in Paris?
No.
You didn't go to his room?
No. Get the pictures, though, Tony, of me scalping tickets to Friday night's game. Yeah, that'll be a classic.
You have tickets to Friday night's game?
No, he doesn't.
No, but I'm going to get my hands on some, and I'm going to sell them for more when I get to the game, because people are going to be desperate at Lockhart Stadium. All right, we love you, Tony Segreto. You be good, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
Okay.
Great American, Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, my God.
I can't believe it. Of all the people here, Louie, I mean, is that not the biggest surprise in this show's history?
But I said it. I think that's what it is. He's covered. He actually says it the last 3 times
But he thinks it's going to fizzle out and be nothing.
It's not that. He said, we've seen this before, which all of us newbies like me and.
But it worked with LeBron. I mean, the whole fanfare thing was a joke.
Well, just
that was about 3 hours of the worst drudgery I've ever suffered through in sports. Worse than any draft party I ever had to host. I mean, that business there with LeBron when he came here with the big three.
Not the 12, not the 2.
Oh my God, did that drag on? I felt for Eric Reed down there. I mean, Eric Reed was doing the PA announcing that night, I believe.
Yeah, he was on the stage.
Oh yeah, he was on the stage conducting that lame interview, which, I mean, Eric does a great job. It certainly wasn't his fault. And you're sitting there going, man, this is just ringing death.
You're like, all they can do is fail.
I did 3 hours with Crotty and Mike Inglis on the radio, having, never really dealt with them before. Just kind of thrown into it, although, guys in the business kind of know each other or each other's work enough to be able to, do it. And I had great respect for both of those guys. And they were very respectful of me, actually asking my opinion of certain things, which, I'm thinking, is this going to work? Yeah, it has to. I thought Bosch would be better in the big three. I really did. And I didn't think there would be as much of a collision between Wade and LeBron James in the early stages as to how this was going to go. Is that fair? Because it got off to a rocky start, and maybe Spoelstra, maybe he just snapped into a quick maturity because he had to go through that situation. Because was he a guy that you thought was you had Spoelstra trying to manage this situation, which was I mean, it wasn't without precedent, but at that level, what would you say? Uh, Certainly, you had egos when you had Garnett and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. No,
Yeah, but those guys were all older. Like that was the thing. Those guys were all older, and they were all three different players.
yeah,
Wade and LeBron are almost a carbon copy of each other, except for LeBron is 6'9" to 280.
well, and he's a freak because he plays all 5 positions. Like he can do what Dwayne Wade does.
Yes, he can do what Wade does, but he again is double his size. So,
Yeah,
but they were very similar dudes that like to have the ball in their hands, that like to run the offense. And then Bosch was used to being a number 1, now had to be a number 3. So all 4 years.
yeah, those guys aren't laying it into some big schmink in the low post, and Wade and especially at that time and LeBron James.
No, at that time
Their tendency is not going to be, hey, let's lob it into Chris and see what he can do.
No, it was 3 number 1s, and they won a lot, but it was never going to be enough. And that day started a really weird precedence. And I look, and I think that's more what Tony's focused on. I don't think no one talks about them winning it. Even if they win a title, who gives a shit? It's the MLS.
Man, what does it mean?
What if they come and win a title? It's like, okay, like what? And I think
it's a guy holding up the NABF boxing belt, and you don't even know what the NABF stands for. And then the guy's in his corner holding it up there, and you're thinking, who is he schmuck? He's 3-1. How does he have a championship? Pro wrestling. We mentioned it earlier. The second reference in the same show to the Intercontinental title, which was always my favorite championship level to win at. What continents did that encompass is the question. Right?
All these titles, and I never knew what any of them meant.
There he is the WBC Intercontinental Champion. Like, what continents?
We never leave here.
Is Greenland a continent? What the fuck?
We're not in Asia.
Who can even name them that is a boxing fan?
Oh my God.
Wrestling fan, even, are wrestling fans the rednecks of, combat sports fans?
I guess. I don't know.
Are you thinking it's all hillbillies that like, no, I mean, intelligent people like professional wrestling.
I mean, you can be an intelligent redneck too, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't like saying that word, hillbilly, whatever. You can be an intelligent southerner. That has nothing
How is DeSantis not banned wrestling for certain obscene behavior?
because his base would not be happy.
There you go. There's the hypocrisy. There's a real hypocrisy in America. Why hasn't Ron DeSantis banned professional wrestling?
Because
Under the idea that it's fraudulent at best.
no rhyme or reason to anything he does. As long as his base likes it, he does it. I mean, that's where
I can't believe these guys stick up for the Trumpster. I mean, at what point do they just say, hey, look, enough's enough with this guy? There's enough shit out there that even if we don't believe any of it, it's just too much to believe that the entire thing is all happening by accident or some bizarre conspiracy. It's crazy, right?
100%.
Well, those guys are crawling on the wall of the Capitol building, and the Trumpsters are going, see how much they love me. You're like, what the fuck? Unbelievable. We have no progress or steam on the British Open. I don't know. Are people going to turn off the show if I say we're going to get into that? Is that a bad way to approach, heading into
the professor needs to know your plays. I don't know if you're doing anything with him or you're doing your pool, but he asked.
Yeah, I'm going to have to. I think I'm going to bet. I'm not going to go into the pool. My friend Chip Bisbano, who I love dearly, not dearly enough that I hadn't seen him in the last couple of years, but we were always in touch. And, he was a guy, he went way back. He was an early devotee of Defo Mania, and started the actual occasion of Defo Mania at the Parkway Pub many years ago on Miramar Parkway, which I happen to live right down the street from the place at that time. And he was great, and he got me into the pool originally, and he was my connection to this pool, which I don't really... I could enter it if I wanted to, but I haven't, sent money to these people or whatever for the entry fee. So, you know me, Lubie. I don't like to get involved in that sort of thing where I'm zelling money around and shit like that. I do it through the Mustang. And how many times have you asked me, hey, did you send me that money?
The problem is doing it through the Mustang as a big stopgap in the process.
Under the heading of what are you paying Lubie for? That kind of thing. Well, the guy's been working with me 12 years. I think, he's entitled to this measly amount of money that's coming in. Unbelievable. But anyway, so I didn't enter the pool. So I think, I don't know. Can you pick a winner? Can you pick a winner, Lubie? That's the question.
Is the people that
I have the odds in front of me. Cameron Smith, defending champion. I don't think a guy goes back to back in that. So I'm going to eliminate Cameron Smith.
Yes.
Who might have been my choice. There's a guy making a big case here for Victor Hovland at 20-1. Victor Hovland. He's been playing well. He had that thing, in the U.S. Open that was, where he shanked that shot and ended up in the sand trap, and then he hit the lip and it bounced back, hit him in the face. And the next thing you know, he was like spitting up sand like you had played tackle football on a beach. You ever do that, Lubie? And you get your face implanted into the sand, embedded in there, and you're like... Or maybe, I don't know, well, that wild time you were having sex on the beach there outside of the Bamboo Beach Tiki Bar, did you swallow any sand and just ignore it because of the... No?
There's a lot of wind beating me down.
Sex on the beach. I mean, I know, it's a drink, but, the actual activity of sex on the beach, is it overrated or underrated?
I like it if you plan it out. We're in that spontaneous moment, so let's go throw on the sand. No, that's got to be uncomfortable.
It was a fantasy of mine. I guess, what was that movie where, what was it, Burt Lancaster? Who was the guy that was getting laid on the beach? What was that famous movie? It's from like the 50s. I should know this. Was that like Here to Eternity or something? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Before my time.
Not sure. It's bad that I'm blanking on that. My dad kind of liked that movie. But they're having sex on the beach there at the end, or at least the implication is. I don't even know if they actually went through with it. She might have had a bathing suit on still. And then, you become infatuated with the idea of having sex on the beach.
I enjoy romantic entanglements on the beach, but I plan it out. I keep a blanket in my car because Shirley and I like...
Oh, yeah? Wow. I mean, you actually prepared for this.
If you have a
serial killer, you're unbelievable. I would fear. Do you also have like electrical tape?
There's nothing else there. It's not a violent foray. It's just romantic hopes.
You might actually do it with the wife on the beach. With the wife.
In our early days, if you
strong
have a blanket, maybe some wine, some.
You wouldn't need much to impair her. I mean, if you were going to go ahead and do this.
No, it's
Florida beaches. You can probably do it. I mean, outside of a couple of sea turtles, you don't usually see that many people on the beach
at night. Fort Lauderdale Beach at night's fucking great. If you go to some parts of it, like people leave you alone, they don't bother you. I'm not saying go get butt naked and just go wild, but you can have moments if you find the right time. But you need a blanket, like to just do it on the sand. It can't be comfortable. I can't even.
No, the sand. I mean, it gets in your,
your ass.
Other areas too. I mean, and then all of a sudden you got that glitch there, and you're thinking you would just as soon masturbate with a RAS file. How do we get there? That's brutal. Because we were going to go into the British Open, Lubie. It's not a good transition. What do you like? All right, we're coming back with that in a moment. Now that
British Open.
We're going to lose the show, Lubie. It's 8:34. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine foods served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Steven, go ahead.
Always great to talk to you,
Mick, and hey, Coach. I taught mine 35 years, but I'm going to be missing my dad. I lost my dad, but he was a 25-year. We were season ticket, so it's going to be bittersweet for me to walk in there Saturday night. But we lost a lot of Gators this year, but I know they're looking down there. Looking forward to seeing these Gators Saturday night, Coach. And how many times you going to give them more dibs down here from Lake County? And best of luck and go Gators, man.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
I can't believe people, certain Gator fans used to take exception with me poking a little fun at the essential character of most Gator fans, like Steve from Umatilla, who routinely got on any coach's show. It didn't matter who the coach was. Spurrier, Steve from Umatilla. And he would do, something that sounded exactly like that. I mean, you would have no idea what he was talking about, and yet you sort of understood. Because it was like listening to a guy in Spanish doing a ball game, and every now and then he pronounces a name in English. He's like Ken Griffey Jr. Crazy, man.
It doesn't mean you know.
Steve from Umatilla. I mean, is that not the epitome of Gator football right there?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean
just some cracker hillbilly from some town is it even a town? What does it have? It has like a gas station, a Chinese restaurant.
City. Gainesville has become a city. It's just
Gainesville is an actual city. Yeah.
Drive through Florida, believe me, Gainesville is a city more than a lot of it. I mean, they have like city centers and malls and theaters and Walmart.
I got lost one time. I was trying to take a much more direct route than I ended up on. This predated GPS devices, and I was driving from doing something over in Tampa to Gainesville. Okay. And I ended up on like some country road, like US 508. I don't know what it was, but I literally was driving through the woods there. I mean, I heard the Deliverance music halfway through. Started to get a little nervous, but this predated cell phones, so it was prohibitive. I was happy to get to Gainesville at that point and do a couple of Gator baseball games. Gator baseball's on the air here. Billy Bob Thompson. And Billy Bob, you played second base. I mean,
there always is a guy.
Fucking hillbilly shit. That's all you ever heard coming out of the press box there. It was great. And you're thinking, this is a sophisticated school where people, the requirements to get in are prohibitive enough. I mean, the standard is high enough that even a guy like Lubie with a master's.
Yeah, I didn't get in.
Got the rejection.
I didn't do early entry. If I did early entry, I would have gotten in. But
all right.
Still, you would think I had good everything. Yeah, it's a good academic school, but the city itself is somewhat podunk. I mean, it's better than Loxahatchee.
Somewhat podunk? That's how you would characterize
it? We have a lot of small cities in our freaking state. Gainesville's not that. Gainesville's bigger than that.
What was it? Lutz? That was the city that Neil Rogers was always referencing because he had some caller from Lutz. Umatilla can't be much more than Lutz. I mean, I would imagine they run 1-2 in terms of hillbilly towns in Florida. I did want to drop this in because I was thinking back, having sex on the beach, and I remember the first time I engaged in the activity. I was, seeing a girl who I remember because my mother really thought that I should be seeing more of her. Okay. And while she was, a very entertaining woman to be with, I mean, my mother didn't know is that. She was making it as a topless dancer in New York while attending art school at Syracuse. All right. So, she was great and, more than willing to participate in this. But we were on Jones Beach, West End 2. And it was pitch black out there. There was a heavy cloud cover and no light whatsoever. And it's a pretty vast beach. So, we're doing this and that. And both of us are naked. And, I come running to what it looks like, her to me, and, a few feet away. And just before I get to this person, I realize it wasn't this lovely girl, Eve. It was a fisherman.
Wait, what?
And I was about to wrap my arms around him while running naked on the beach. And I thought, my luck, it's a cop. Fortunately, the DeForest, we just don't have any luck at this kind of shit.
Your dad has said that.
I'm the one that gets arrested, right? We're on a nude beach in California. Who gets popped, right? It's two cops. They got telescopes up there at the top of the cliffs. Were you guys smoking marijuana down here? Where are those joints?
Exactly.
This is a hoax. When did they weaponize the Department of Justice against the deformed?
Again.
They did a little research on this British Open, Libby. I want to get to a sporting topic here. And all right, so the first order of business would be to eliminate guys that are of low odds. I agree with the professor's theory. You might think, I mean, obviously, if you're looking at the top of the list here, Rory McIlroy is your favorite, and you're getting 7 and a hook on him, 7.5 to 1, which wouldn't be a bad price if you really thought he was going to win. But he just won. How many guys go back to back? McIlroy playing well. He was a non-factor though in majors many times now. Extremely disappointing, and he hasn't won a major since 2014. Is that plaguing him enough, Lubie, to drive him with his phenomenal natural talent to win on a course where he should be among the favorites, should he not? He's one of these European freaks that understands how to play this links golf, which I don't know. I mean, I'm not familiar with the course. Are you? Have you seen anything about this course? It's not Royal Troon. It's Royal Schmeck.
Liverpool or something Ken was talking about. I don't know. I never heard it.
It's in Hoylake, England.
Yeah.
It doesn't say the name of the course here.
I have no
This
idea.
particular list of odds where you can bet on almost any possibility and any kind of proposition, Louis, including like head-to-head competition between like two different guys. You can bet whether like McIlroy is going to beat Scotty Scheffler, that kind of thing. What do you think about that approach? Odds are not long enough for you to be attracted to it and suffer through the impossible number of scenarios that exist in golf that you can't reasonably believe that you're going to be definitively right about any one guy, can you? No.
Oh, well, that's
McIlroy could miss the cut just as easily as he wins the thing.
100%. The thing is, the guys I actually have a really strong interest in for this tournament. The only one getting the kind of odds you'd like is Dustin Johnson. Like Koepka is around 20 to 1, which are still to me good odds. But
Koepka is 20 to 1 according to this list. I mean, yeah, so it's around there.
He sucks, so he should be getting longer.
Who's that
odds.
now?
Like Koepka has sucked at the Opens, so he should get longer odds in Ken's estimation. So that's why 20 to 1 is not good enough.
I don't think he's winning this.
Rory McIlroy is a guy who give good shot, but he's one of the favorites.
Nah, they're ridiculous. Yeah, to take 7 and a hook on McIlroy, no way.
Scheffler, same thing, one of the favorites.
Scheffler is also 750 to 1.
Dustin Johnson's interesting because he's flirted with the Open before and then lost it
33 to 1 on
he's
DJ.
like around 30 to 1. So
here's your problem. Somebody picked him to win, one of the handicappers that I researched. Okay, so he has no chance. Just put a line through him, like they said, and let it ride. Richard Dreyfuss, yeah. Yeah, somebody just gave me the 5-horse. Put a line through him right away. No, that makes sense. Let me go ahead. Finish your theory, because and it's not without merit. You were saying
that's it. But that's it. That's my thing. The people I like, the odds aren't great. Like you have to go way off the board, and yeah, those people may end up winning, but it's hard for me to predict a Mark Strickland or one of these fucking fakakta names that we never talk about ever that will come out of left field.
How about the big Swede? Would you give the big Swede a chance? Heinrich Stinson.
I think you should go with one of those. You said Parnevik. Like I would go with one of these older dudes that
Jesper,
has won in forever. That is a Euro. That's what I would do for this tournament because you may get
a guy like Wyndham Clark. No, he's an American guy.
I don't even know who that
he
is.
just won like his second tournament or something recently. Wow, they don't list a lot of nondescript European schmecks. They all must be at like 100 to 1 or more. You can also bet who will be the best American finisher, right? And they have Scheffler. You get 4 to 1 on Scheffler if he beats all of the other Americans. You're getting 11 to 1 there on your boy Brooks Koepka, and you get like Cantlay, Ricky Fowler at 11 to 1, Morikawa. Schauffele, Dustin Johnson is 14 to 1 to be the top American finisher. Not even wins a thing, just beat the other Americans in the tournament. What do you think about that?
I would double
Mike
down.
Lubie Lubitz.
I would double down.
How complicated can we make this? Is what I'm trying to present to everybody.
Look, if you think Dustin Johnson's going to win, then why wouldn't you just double dip?
Okay, but I mean, you might be able to hedge off the win bet that you're getting 33 to 1 on by taking 14 to 1 that he's the top American. At that point, if he wins the thing, good. But if he doesn't, you might have salvation and still score at a price, essentially 7 to 1 if you cash the 14-1 ticket that he beats out the other American schmanks that are in the tournament.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you have a conviction of Dustin Johnson at all, I would do both of those bets if you can somehow get it
That's
down.
That's not a bad approach, Lubie. Look at this. I mean, look what we're doing here. We're making golf the most fascinating sport to discuss because why? Because you might have money on it. Otherwise, nobody gives a flying one about this bullshit, do they? British Open, imagine that. You're on a sports talk show, internationally acclaimed, and you're trying to drum up steam and get people excited about talking about the British Open. And all the usual jokes apply, the whole Dickens novel thing. I've used that a zillion times. But it's true, right? I mean, you're hearing foghorns in the background. Whoa. Beggars in tattered clothing are showing up at the first tee saying, wait a minute. No, I'm caddying for, Bryson DeChambeau today.
It's like literally the day that if you were in South Florida, you wouldn't go to the golf course. Like, you have it planned, you wake up early,
exactly,
have everything in the car, your buddies are on the way, and then you go and you're like, you just want to go to a bar? Yeah, I think so.
Windy, dark,
and they're
rank,
major.
Slanting rain is coming in that would stop even a football game. And you're thinking, they're playing? Wow. Oh, that's Patty Harrington. He's 1 under.
That's one. I'm telling you, I would go with one of those.
They're on these giant greens that like, you're looking going, oh, good. Look, he's 2 feet from the cup, but it's the wrong cup. He's got a 40-footer. He's like, what are you talking about, Faraday? 40-footer. He's right there by the pin. But there's 2 holes on the same green. Crazy. Like they didn't. Well, I mean, how can you even grow enough grass to have greens over there?
There's no rain.
And then I like the courses that are by the ocean where, like, they got a couple of, sea lions laughing at the people that are lining the fairway there. And the fairway doesn't look like much either, does it?
Well, that's the thing. It's not like
fairway looks like it was, the aftermath of the bombing of Germany.
Yeah, it's not like California when.
I mean, of England. I mean, I meant to say by the Germans.
And it's this beautiful image. It's
it ain't Pebble Beach.
Yeah, it's like a war novel where the waves.
Exactly. Yeah, you're expecting Private Ryan to show up.
Exactly.
Oh, here he is. He's on 13. Hey, he's in the bunker hiding. Tom Hanks getting shot at the end of the movie.
Oh God.
No, that's all. That's all applicable. But we have to figure out who's going to, do something that we can cash on. And when you look at it from that approach, and I'm telling you, people, I mean, the golf pool was one of the most fascinating experiences, unless you're out of it on the first day, which unfortunately became a relatively common circumstance for me. What do you mean he's 5 over? How could that be? You're Jordan fucking Spieth.
It had 3 holes.
You can't shoot like a modest 1 over par or something. Just somehow be in the mix there to at least make the cut. You were the All-American boy. We loved you. You were John Walton. I mean, you were like John Walton, right? Was it John Walton? Who was the Walton?
Yeah. I think it was John. Little John.
Was his first name John? Everybody. No, John Rambo is who I'm thinking about.
Oh, the dad. I think the son had the same name as the dad.
Oh, yeah. He was like Little John.
I think it was Little John.
But that was Spieth. He was everybody's favorite story, wasn't he?
It was
John Boy.
My dad loved the Waltons when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah? Oh, God.
John Boy. Good night, John Boy.
No wonder he plays pickleball now in his old age. He's fucking watching the Waltons all those years. I think, whatever psychiatry I'm aware of, from my days of studying psych there at Syracuse. Did you take the psychology course?
I did.
Had a big, thick book that nobody ever read. Yeah.
No, it was.
What was it called? Modern Psychology?
No, I did a psychology, and I also did.
Did you retain any of that?
Philosophy. The philosophy one I hated.
Philosophy.
That sucked. The first half of it was like, do you know, is this table here? How do we know? I'm like,
exactly. I love that shit.
I hate that shit.
I would have majored in philosophy if it wasn't such an embarrassment.
They're like, yeah, Johnny, you're right. It may not be there. I'm like, my fucking plate's on it, you asshole. The table's here.
How do you know, though?
I hate that.
It's the very Donald Trump is very much existential. What capital riot? How about that? DeSantis called that thing a riot. Oh no, was it McCarthy or DeSantis? One of those chumps said, "Well, it was Pence. Pence, who rhymes with dense.
He almost died.
How vapid is this guy? And he still refuses. I mean, you talk about gutless, refuses to put. The tweet says, "Hang Mike Pence."
Yes.
From Donny Boy.
If they had found him, they would
Like,
have.
well, I don't know. They're weaponizing the Department of Justice. Go fuck yourself, Pence.
Dude, it was you. Like, they're trying to protect.
I'm starting to get,
So, anyways, what are Shoffley's?
Shoffley, I mean, always, I don't know. Do you see him winning this thing? Because I'm tempted. This is so stupid that I might do it. All right. Shoffley is 25 to 1. Not bad.
Nice. He's a guy that could win.
Could you throw him out there?
He's a guy that
Shoffley.
could win.
Is he picked by? I don't think he's picked by any of these handicappers.
Boy, Rom. I know Rom's fucked around lately. That's the kind of guy that could win this too.
Rom, I'm gonna put a line through Rom because of late hasn't been all that much.
I know, but
starting out so sensationally this season. I mean, he was winning everything. He won a couple of tournaments in Hawaii, and then he was winning this, and he was winning that, and then he won the Masters, and you can't discount that. But since then, Lubie. I mean, you might be, better off betting Jose Maria Olazabal. I don't even think he plays anymore. Sergio is not in this thing. Bet Sergio. He has as much of a chance as John Rahm, in my opinion. He's not even in the tournament.
Fowler's the other one that Ken was like
Fowler has been coming on. I mean, is it possible that he could get it together? Can he play this kind of game, though? The old bump and run. Isn't that what you have to do to get around this course?
Like JB Brown.
It seems like it would be conducive exclusively for European players to win. How do American players excel at the British Open? It's like the dumbest design of a golf course you'll ever see. They have a tract of land that they couldn't do anything with. It was so atrocious they couldn't even make a garbage dump out of it. And so they say, let's turn it into a golf course, lads. Peter Alice, he's not kidding around when he's talking about a watery grave. I mean, there were like bodies buried in the whatever. There is no water on the course, though, is there? On these links courses? I mean, do you have like water as a hazard, like protecting greens?
The hills. I just remember it's very hilly and it's just
the bunkers are ridiculous.
Big.
Yeah,
and the sand, it's like a sand dune. It's not a sand trap. Like it just goes on forever. Like I just remember it being
it's brush. I mean, essentially brush.
Where you'd never play. You'd be like, why would I play that shitty course?
You don't know if you're watching the British Open or the Canadian forest fires that are going on. Smoke is coming out. I mean, it's insane. All right, so how about this one, though? I don't know. Do we go ahead? It would be hard to root for this guy because he's such a schmuck. But Bryson DeChambeau at 50 to 1, Louis. That is a robust 50 to 1.
Yeah. Oh, DeChambeau's interesting.
You take like a wild roll of the dice and say, you know what? I want to hop in 6-4. And the guy looks at you like, what? Hop in 6-4. And they move your money to the hop in 6-4 slot there. And they're laughing as they, put the, whatever it is, $10 that you have. And boom, there it hits.
So what a shock. Julian says the weather forecast for Royal Liverpool, rain and wind. That like down here when they're just automatically.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Chance of rain today, about 80%. I would say it's 1,000% since it's raining right now, and the leak is roofing in the studio there. Julie Dirta, what are you talking about?
They just have the same forecast.
Same shit. I used to fudge the traffic report when I had to do traffic reports many years ago. We didn't have the way of tracking traffic around that they do now, the sophisticated means. So, you were having to actually like rip some thing off of a news wire that was giving you the latest traffic report. And I was too lazy to do that for every cast that I had. This was on I-95 many years ago. I was on a show with Up and Adam with the Manum, it was called. Short-lived gig, but nonetheless, an FM, and you sounded big, Defo.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. I really enjoyed it. I got a lot of notoriety out of that, at the time where I had been doing what I thought were some real sophisticated sportscasts on 940 Wins, but nobody gave a shit, right? Nobody cared. Now, people did listen to AM radio back then, even for like all news stations. There were like 4 of them in town. Yeah. But I used to, just do the same thing every time, right? Well, it's starting to back up already over the Golden Glades interchange. I tell you what, you might want to avoid that. There are no alternate routes here in South Florida. So don't even bother thinking about taking 441. You are stuck like a schmuck.
There's something
That's your traffic.
Something on the shoulder of the Palmetto. Like you can just
the Palmetto's starting to back up. What a surprise there. If you're in the Doral area, you may as well just put a white flag on your car antenna right now and raise it to its, apex of height. Unbelievable. Yeah, that was it, and it was the same one every time. And the people would, okay, yeah, that was informative.
That's about right.
Talk about yesterday's news tomorrow, but it probably was right. It was right on the money. I mean, how could you be wrong about any of that? Whoever designed the Golden Glades interchange, what architectural design school did this person go to?
I think the only time I've ever gone through it and it hasn't gotten backed up for 10 to 15 minutes, no matter what the day is, like after a Heat game and I had to cover it. So it was like 1 a.m. Other than that, anytime you go through the Golden Glades interchange,
it's backed up like my rear end. After a series of Mike Mayo lunchboxes where you
get through and you're like,
way more food than you care to. Yeah. Unbelievable. Tell myself every time I'm not going to eat, Lubie. How are we going to do that today? I mean, it's
a as a collaborator you're eating today. It's going to be freaking.
I'm saving my appetite. For sure. Casa Calabria. Well, now they're not open, so this is kind of an exclusive thing.
A special thing. Yeah, people have done it for us. I mean, when we go to these places that don't have lunch, but they want to be showcased, let alone they're a sponsor. You do what you got to do.
I have to say, Frankie's sauce. I mean, many Italian restaurants have their signature sauce is great. Frankie's sauce is great. It's different than a lot of places. It really is.
It was a really the tomato flavor was great, but a lot of the time it can be bitter. It was interesting. It wasn't bitter.
It was nice. Yeah.
It was a nice combination where they didn't do too much with it, but you could just keep eating it and eating it and eating it. It was amazing.
I don't recall Mayo saying anything negative about the place to Frankie after the meal either, which
he
inclined to do.
What do you mean? Frankie wanted criticism. Frank was like, it's okay. We're not on air. We're there to try things. And
he says, what do you think? Give me the real opinion.
I really want to know. And Mayo's like, it was great.
He was overwhelmed.
It's
very unusual, right? Because tell like Burt Rappaport, who's been in the restaurant business for 100 years. He'll say, you know what? Too many breadcrumbs in this crab cake here. I really thought it sucked.
It was like what? I was crying. It was so good.
And then he'll look at you like in all sincerity and say, well, they wanted criticism. I'm like, yeah, maybe they did, but you didn't have to offer it. Could have said, you know what? Everything was great. I don't know how you could do any better. That would be my approach. No.
Especially if it's true. Like, you don't
I mean, look, we sucked everything down. It wasn't like there was any of the crab cake left.
No, you're complaining to complain, but yeah, he did not do that. Look at Casa Calabria.
It's like my mother, my Jewish mother. She would have to find something wrong, no matter what. You'd say everything's going great, couldn't be better, man. Yeah, the job's going great. This is going great. Yeah, I'm in love. It's fantastic. I couldn't feel any better. I'm healthy as a clam. Whatever. What would be a healthy example?
Horse.
Happy as a clam, I guess, would be it. But healthy as a horse, yeah. As like the 2 horse that we had the other day at Saratoga. And she would say, so what's wrong? Did I just, you want more on this list? I mean, what else could be right?
Okay.
All right, so give it to me, Lubie. I mean, we have till tomorrow to come up with this, but they'll already be playing tomorrow, so it'll be too late.
You want to do it today?
They get this thing going at like 1 a.m. Eastern time here in this.
You have to do it today. Ken said he needs it today. If you do want to, you don't have to, but if you want to,
can I root for DeChambeau? I mean, that would be like rooting for Vietnam during the war.
I mean, if Ken can bet on UF and Duke, which he's done both, then
he bet on Duke. Yeah, that's right. He did do it.
When you're a gambler, you go. That's why Greek likes Tom Brady. It's not that Greek likes Tom Brady. Greek has won money on Tom Brady, which is what you do as a gambler. You go against your heart and go with your head.
As much a shot as anybody at 50-1. If his game is conducive, because look, there are no trees, okay, no water, and this is a guy that can drive every green out of it. I would think, especially when they aim for the hotel. Don't you love that? I forget what course is that. Is that Royal Andrews or whatever? I don't know. Where you have to aim your ball over the roof of the hotel on the right side to hit a green that's on the left. That's that road hole, whatever that thing is.
It's like putt-putt.
And they aim for the H in the hotel sign.
It's like hit the clown, then hit the castle.
Right? And if you're lucky, you get a carom off the back wall there on the road hole, and the ball ricochets on its way over to the green. Otherwise, you're fucked. And anybody could drive the green. I mean, like if you get it over the H in the hotel, you're on the green there in 1, and you're putting for eagle, possibly to close out the tournament. All right, so we have nothing on that. You're going to go with Shoffley. Shoffley is your pick.
I say go
Dustin Johnson. I'll give you Dustin Johnson and Shoffley.
Dustin Johnson, Shoffley, and DeChambeau. Just go.
Oh, you're going to take DeChambeau also? Okay.
I just say go for the guys that you really think don't have a chance to win. Those seem to be the guys that win.
Yeah. That's it, man. Because I'm putting a line through like the top 10 guys.
Yeah, they're not going to win.
You can bet whether a guy's going to be a top 10 finisher. Obviously, you get a much lower price.
Yeah.
You can bet head-to-head competition. You can go into one of these pools and team up some players. You can bet who the top Canadian player is going to be. There are only 2 entries there. That's true, man.
That's stupid.
I think they have Gretzky as one of them. No, it's Corey Connors is minus 200.
Does Mike Weir still play? Because White Weir.
No, he's long done Weir with that stupid waggle he had. Nick Taylor, who won the Canadian Open, did he not? Nick Taylor? And he's plus 160. So can he beat this other Canadian player? You would think maybe yes. Here's one for you, Lubie. I mean, if you want to take a few minor shots to hedge off your major plays.
There you go.
And you can bet this throughout, right? I mean, every day you can bet on golf. It's fantastic. It's Degenerate Plus. And we'll be all over it. I'll get some plays in with the professor. I think I have to get in action on this thing. All right, that's going to do it for us today. We'll come to you live. You can't get in there. I think we're the only table going to be served, right?
Yes, they're closed. They do late lunch, early dinner. But for us to sample some of their fare and enjoy our time on the ocean.
Man. Oh, that's great. I'm gonna put it up there with any Italian restaurant in town. I really.
Oh, that's great. No, it was fantastic. Shirley is very discerning, especially when it comes to Italian.
Yeah, it was good.
She was floored. I've never seen her eat that much. We literally rolled out of there because you couldn't stop. You couldn't say no to any of the stuff that they were bringing out. It was all freaking amazing.
I don't know if it was the gummy bears or not, but remember the first time you had food after you smoked weed for the first time?
Yeah, you ate for hours.
I think I was at like the Italian festival in New York, and the first thing I had was Zeppola, which is that fried pizza dough with the pounded sugar on it, and it was like freshly made, melted in my mouth, and I couldn't believe it, man. And before you know it, I had eaten 4 bags of it. But the taste, it stands out to this day, and it was very distinct. The wonderful flavors that Frank Tallarico brought out at Casa Calabria. I'm starting to write Mayo's article for him.
There you go.
I'm sure he could embellish it a lot better than I could, but because he has that food critic lingo, which it's a different language. One last thing, man, I can't believe people are this is an evil, cruel era of life.
Okay.
Where a young star like Carlos Alcaraz, a perfectly delightful guy that you can't help but root for, is being trashed on Twitter because he doesn't speak perfect English. I think it's amazing that he's speaking English as well as he does at this stage. Because as I recall, I don't think he spoke English like even a year ago. He would do all of his interviews through an interpreter.
He's 20 and he plays a game that is 100% worldwide. Like it's not like Ohtani's the one Ohtani's been in America for like 5-6 years now. He's in his 20s and he plays a game that's in America and he has a translator and no one criticizes him. Well, Alcaraz 20 and he's having the confidence to speak in English.
Right. I mean, he's doing things that would make, people that were very eloquent nervous. Right?
That's
going on international television and speaking a language that you don't really speak that well.
That's why you have Manny Pacquiao in his 40s have a fucking interpreter because of stupid assholes that are judging a 20-year-old who's actually doing something.
It's crazy to trash this kid, though. I mean, it's cruel. It's ridiculous. He is a lot further along in his English and his ability to communicate than I will ever be in Spanish.
Exactly.
And I have every reason, and I've said this many times, I've had every reason to learn how to speak Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
And have I done it? No, of course not.
I've tried. Half of my family speaks Spanish because with my wife, I can't even talk to her grandparents, and I love them. They're great. And we have this weird sign language thing going because I still don't know. They know more English now than I know Spanish, which is sad, but I don't pick it up. I've tried, I've studied, I've done all those things. I'm not giving up, obviously, but
right. I mean, if I had taken it in high school, as much as I paid no attention to French in high school, I can understand and speak a little bit of French. All right, very little, but a little bit.
Yes, that's me.
I understand a few of the fundamentals of it anyway. I mean, and even like to the point of spelling and things like that. But had I taken Spanish, maybe I would have been able to, later on, embellish whatever it was, what little I'd taken out of high school and done well with it. And I wish I had. I mean, it's been an inhibiting factor in my life, just like not being able to dance.
I can't dance.
At least you can dance, Libby.
But anyways, why would I judge someone who is trying their best and picking it up and going for it? Like that takes a lot.
No, I thought. I mean, I thought the guy did a tremendous job. I really did. I mean, he had come a long, long way, and I would be very reluctant to do these. I mean, if he did his interviews in Spanish and went through an interpreter, nobody would have said shit about it.
Yeah, exactly. They would rather that when the guy ends up again lying about half the shit the guy says. Like the interpreter.
Yeah, like the typical thing in the corner in a boxing match where the guy says he's speaking for like 45 seconds, and the guy says, "Okay, kill him," and that's it.
It's like there's no
Right?
way.
Is that what he said?
Like there's no way.
All right. I like the other day I saw Tony Weeks, a referee, give instructions in Spanish to two guys, and then it turned out both of them spoke English. And I respected Weeks on this same principle because I was reading about how horrible it was, the treatment that Carlos Alcaraz is getting online. And I'm thinking, what does the world come to? I mean, that is really, really ridiculous.
You would just like to bitch.
It'd be like the president of the United States making fun of a guy that was physically impaired.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Which
unthinkable.
Yeah, you would think.
Never mind January 6th. All right. Take a letter, Maria. Address it to 45.
12 o'clock. Check us out at Casa Calabria at the Ocean Manor Hotel, Ocean Manor Resort.
Tell him he won't be getting out as long as he's alive. All right. We'll see you later on, 12 o'clock. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox here in South Florida Live. And tomorrow, again, girls, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Girls, I
hope
have
so. Yeah.
Today, but I think we will have a trivia challenge, yes, sir.
All right. A full agenda then. And we'll see you next time as we're leaving out that.
The time.
It's 9:08.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.